gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. Band, take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie L. Nix, the M Fanfare.
All right, guys. Sorry about that long delay. Um, Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions76 Sports. First of all, please like the stream, please share it, and please subscribe, especially if you're watching on the playback. If you want to drop something in the tip jar, that's a name for it now, the tip jar. If you want to drop something in the tip jar, that information is below this live stream. Today is January 8th, 2021. There are much more important things going on in the world now besides Michigan football. But sports provides a distraction. So I figured let's distract ourselves for about an hour, because about an hour is pretty much all I have today. I have a bunch of things to do, and I say that all the time, but today I'd like to go for about an hour. So I see Alex Dilworth is right there in the chat. He says, I got a lot to say. So again, Alex, we're going to go for about an hour, and I have a little opening monologue here. And then I have one article that I'm going to read, and then I'll have Alex come in and kind of voice what he has to say, though I think I know a lot of what he has to say. By the way, guys, sorry I'm late. I lost my hat in my room here I'm still hiding out in upstate New York because of what was happening in DMV 3 days ago. I decided to stay a few more days, but when I come home, my room gets cluttered. And I couldn't find my hat, and I couldn't do this without my hat, because if you know anything about branding, this is what you guys are used to seeing. So if I were to do this broadcast without my hat, I'd feel kind of naked. So let's go, because I wanna go for about an hour. So I have some points I want to write down here, that I've written down here, that I'm going to get to. Then we're going to read an article, then I'll open it up. But yeah, so this whole thing with Jimmy, John Stoops, Abdul Gaines is here, Wolf 58 is here, Lewis Papp is here, so the gang is slowly trickling in. So yeah, I didn't do anything pretty much this entire holiday season except for last week's college football playoff, pre-playoff live stream. So I wanted to do something on this before the actual decision comes through. Speaking of the college football playoff live stream, one of my favorite GIFs now is this one. This is one of my favorite GIFs now. That's Woody Woodrow Hayes running out to the field. And also, of course, this one is a lot of fun as well. It's the Clemson punch. And Buckeye fan had a lot of fun last weekend watching their team punch Dabo and Trevor Lawrence in the mouth just like this. So these are two of my favorite GIFs. So I'm going to start this off by saying, Big Discussion Sports. The reason that the title this is, as the title implies, Big Discussions. I feel like a lot of my takes and my opinions are well thought out. It's not just our team sucks right now, our team is losing right now, our team is bad. That's not my style. And one of my influences, one of the sports commentators that I really, really appreciate and I really, really enjoy is Colin Cowherd. And I pointed this out in a pre-record earlier this year when someone came at me and said the content on this channel has gone down. You're not a Michigan insider. You sold yourself as a Michigan insider. And I had to think back to who my influences are. And one of my favorite commentators, even though I haven't listened a lot lately, is Colin Cowherd. And the reason I like Colin Cowherd is because his takes, well, in my opinion, his takes are pretty fair and balanced. They're very well thought out. You may not agree with them, but Colin kind of gives it to you straight and down the middle. Now, he does for show. He does hammer at certain people, but his takes are pretty fair and down the middle. And that's how I'm going to approach this and everything that's going on, and that's how I'll continue to approach whatever's happening in Schembechler Hall right now. So I want to start off with a couple things. So I want to start off by saying I went to Michigan. I'm an alumnus. And, when being an alumnus is different than being a fan who never went to the school. And, I know that there have been a lot of fans jumping ship. There have been fans going over to other fan bases. But I just wanted to say that when you're an alumnus, when you've gone to the school, when the degree hanging on your wall is from that school, you just don't jump ship and abandon it. So, there are fans who ride with a team for a little while and then they jump ship and they head for the hills and they run. And then there are fans and alumni who love the school, love the colors, love the history, love their program, and are going to stick it out until the end. So I just wanted to say that I'm not one of those. I'm an alumnus. Ann Arbor will always have a special place in my heart. And regardless of what happens, I will always be a member of the fan base. So I just want to say that, we're in an era of sports today where, and I guess the pro level influences this, where players can jump boom, 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 boom from team to team. And, there are fans now who don't ride with the team for a long period of time. They ride with the players and they ride with whomever is hot. So I'm not that type of guy. And I went to Michigan. So, that's where my allegiance will always lie. And I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just telling you about who I am and how and what my values are. I was in Ann Arbor during the end of the Lloyd Carr days, and when a lot of people were calling for Lloyd Carr's head, and a lot of people wanted Lloyd Carr out of there. So I was doing my graduate research, listening to, where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. Listening to the Ticket 1050 WTK in Ann Arbor every morning and every afternoon, listening to angry fans call for Lloyd Carr to be fired and for Lloyd Carr's head to be on the chopping block. So, I just wanted to say, when you're an alumnus, it's different than being a fan who didn't attend the school. As my brother Amal always says, who gives me information whether or not I want it, you take that however you want. The other thing I wanted to say to open this up is, as this whole thing, I got to remember to slow down when I speak sometimes. As this whole thing was unfolding this week, I think we're all on a Harbaugh watch. We're looking to see when the next news is going to break. My thoughts went back to the 2016 JT Barrett first down game. And what happened after that game was we have a ritual of, we had a ritual prior to COVID of watching the game at the Buffalo Wild Wings on Niagara Falls Boulevard. And it turns out that Buffalo Wild Wings, unfortunately, is it's a game watch for it's the official Western New York Buckeyes game watch location. So, we've watched that game there for the last 5 years, which have been Buckeye wins. But that, as you know, that 2016 game particularly burned because of this play. I mean, there were things that led up to this play. Wilton Speight threw a couple of picks, but this one particularly burned. That was week two. No, that was year two of Jim's tenure in Ann Arbor, and one of our buddies, I'll say his name, Heston. One of our buddies, Heston, taught me how to troll that day because he stayed on us after that loss. And Heston, when he gets something, he really likes to just rub it in and just rub it in and just rub it in and just rub it in. And he was joking after the game. Now, Heston didn't go to Michigan or Ohio State. I don't think he even followed college football before this. But he kept joking afterwards. Oh, Harbaugh should go back to the NFL. Harbaugh should go coach. He should reunite with Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. Harbaugh should go to the NFL. He should reunite with Andrew Luck. Again, this was right after the J.T. Barrett first down game. It was still, the wound was still fresh, and he's just rubbing it in. That Harbaugh should go back to Indianapolis and reunite with Andrew Luck and the Colts. And so that was making it worse. But so Harbaugh hung out, as we know, for 3 more years. So Heston was wrong about that. And so the question after that was always, okay, well, how long is he going to hang around? And it was speculated, when he first got hired back in 2014, that he'd only stay for a little while. So I thought about that. So as you know, he took a trip to Southern California, and that reminded me of something else from Ann Arbor. This is the University of Michigan Medical School, and that's where I did my graduate research. And when I heard about Harbaugh flying to San Diego, I thought about my graduate advisor, who's been instrumental in my life and getting me to this point, and he taught me a lot. But probably 3 to 4 years into graduate school, my graduate advisor took a trip out to the University of Washington. I think the first time he went by himself, and he came back. And then the second time he took his family out to Seattle. And one of my lab mates named Steven, I'll call him Steven, he said, he's out there interviewing. And I was like, no, that can't be true. That can't be right. He's like, yeah, he's gone twice. Think about it. He's gone twice. He went the first time by himself. And then the second time he took his family with him. So I said, okay, well, maybe there's something to that. And so then when my graduate advisor came back, Steven asked him in front of all of us, how was the interview? How was the interview out at the University of Washington? And my graduate advisor looked at us, he got quiet, he said, it went pretty good. It went well. And so then this whole thing unfolded where he pit our program against the University of Washington's program, their Department of Pharmacology, and he made them kind of jostle back and forth while he negotiated the highest contract and the best deal for him. And we were kind of caught in the middle. So at that time, I was facing having to transfer with the lab out to University of Washington in Seattle. I didn't want to go, and I ultimately found out that that's a very beautiful place to live. But that's the professional world. That's what happens. A person gets unhappy in one position, or maybe their tenure gets to the end in one area, and they go looking around and they go shopping around for other workplaces, and they don't tell you they're doing it. They leave these little clues that they're doing it, and you don't find out until later, and whatever happens. But yeah, I'm saying this to say that this is what happens, and I do believe Jim is hunting around, and he's searching around, and he's looking to see what his next position will be, because it seems that he's worn out his welcome in Ann Arbor. So, and that's a lot of that's what's happening right now. And I'm going to throw this slide up from the airing of Grievances Peace live stream that we did. Right now, it seems that Ward Manuel and the athletic department, and probably the trustees and the regents, they gave him a contract, and they basically put the ball in his court, and it's either on him to sign it or not sign it. But it's interesting because right now we're at a bit of a standoff. Ward hasn't pulled the trigger on firing him, and Jim hasn't said. See, it's 1:00 now on Friday. Jim hasn't said, I'm either going to take the contract or I'm going to go somewhere else, though he's clearly gone to San Diego to interview with the Chargers. So that's where we are now. So I'm going to read this article, and then I'm going to throw a link in the chat so Alex can come up and say what he wants to say. And then, we'll go for about 30 more minutes. So I'm going to enable my screen share. And sports is an unforgiving business, especially at the college level now. It's an unforgiving business. It's a meritocracy. And so it's all about what have you done for me lately. If you guys haven't, please click the like on this live stream. If you're new coming in, please like the stream as well. If you're new, please also subscribe. And Steve Dace recorded a video on this, a podcast on the Michigan podcast. I didn't leave it below, but you can search it. He's pretty much kind of scratching his head, wondering what's going on as well. I think everybody's scratching their heads and wondering what's going on. Nate, the depressed Wolverine fan. Okay, so I'm going to read this. This is a short article. It says Michigan football wants to sign Jim Harbaugh to an extension. Ball is in his court right now. This was on January 2nd. Okay. Do they really want to sign him? Or are we just kind of doing a dog and pony show here? So I'm not sure they really want to sign Jim back. And I'm not sure Jim really wants to come back. I've heard that this contract has incentives in it. And so anyway. The article reads, this is written by David Jesse. And there's the weathered and the tired Jim, which looks a lot different than this Jim, this young and invigorated Jim. Attack each day with an enthusiasm. I'm sorry, it's Friday. Attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. There were a lot of those quotes when he first got hired. Okay. The decision on whether Jim Harbaugh will be inked to a contract extension as the Michigan football coach rests solely on one man, Jim Harbaugh. That decision could come as soon as Monday or be stretched out, but the university expects a decision. A multi-year contract extension has been offered to Harbaugh, but as of Saturday evening, no extension has been signed. Sources close to the situation told the Free Press the deal, which was initially offered as a 3-year extension, would kick in on January 11th. That's Monday. That's the day each year of Harbaugh's contract has started since he was hired in 2014. Other media reports say the extension offered was for 5 years. Harbaugh has 1 year left on his current contract. The sources spoke to the Free Press on the condition of anonymity because they weren't cleared to talk to the media about the discussions. Looks like Mitch Albom wrote an article himself. Harbaugh hasn't signed it yet because he's waiting to see if any NFL teams have interest in him as a head coach. The answer to that question could come quickly. The NFL regular season wraps up on Sunday. So this was written last week, which is followed by Black Monday, when head coaches all around the league are let go. There are several openings already in the NFL, including with the Detroit Lions. One of you all suggested that he go down the street, or should I say go down I-94 to Ford Field and coach the Lions. But Harbaugh is said to have interest in the New York Jets. Adam Gase, the Jets head coach, who has won just 2 games this season, will reportedly be fired after Sunday's finale. Harbaugh is also said to be interested in the Los Angeles Chargers. I keep thinking they're in San Diego, but they're in Los Angeles. Should it come open? Anthony Lynn, the LA coach, is 32-31 in 4 seasons entering Sunday. Harbaugh's coaching resume is filled with previous stops at college and professional coaching jobs in California, including 4 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, whom he led to the Super Bowl during the 2012 season. If Harbaugh doesn't draw interest from those teams, then he is expected to re-sign with Michigan. No one truly knows what Harbaugh is planning to do. He is known for keeping his decision-making process close to his own vest. What is known is he has an offer from U of M to keep coaching there. Athletic Director Ward Manuel has made the extension offer and has no plans to fire Harbaugh this year, multiple sources told the Free Press. The university's leaders have left the decision to Manuel. None are advocating for Harbaugh to be brought back. None would block Manuel if he decided Harbaugh should be let go. Excuse me. Harbaugh has been under fire from fans for his team's play this season. The team had a 2-4 record and was upset by Michigan State, beaten by Indiana for the first time in 33 years, and suffered the most lopsided home defeat since 1935 during an ugly affair against Wisconsin. The team did not play its traditional rivalry game against Ohio State because of COVID positive tests. Not infections, whoever that was out there, positives. Contact tracing and other injuries left the team without enough players to compete. I'd love to look at the chat right now. This season, Harbaugh was scheduled to make $8,036,179, making him the 4th highest paid coach in college football, according to USA Today. That includes a $2 million annual life insurance premium as long as he was coached by December 6th, 2020. But his base pay and additional compensation was reduced by 10% due to the pandemic. Harbaugh and Manuel had their annual end of the season meeting where, among other things, Harbaugh's contract was discussed. Wow, I would love to hear what that was like. Or, as they say, I would love to have been a fly on the wall. Harbaugh, 57, was hired just after the 2014 season and his 49 and 22 in 6 seasons. However, U of M has not reached the Big Ten championship game under Harbaugh. Is 0-5 against Ohio State and 3-3 against Michigan State. Last month, Michigan fired defensive coordinator Don Brown, whom Harbaugh hired before the 2016 season. The Wolverines went from 25th in the nation in points allowed in 2019 to 96th this season. The extension would offer Harbaugh a lower base salary than he currently has and a lower buyout figure, making it easier to fire him next year if needed, according to sources. The Free Press, this is the ending, guys. The Free Press and USA Today Sports calculated the buyout figure based on the scenario of terminating him the day after the final game of the season on December 20th and retaining his staff through January 10th, the expiration date attached to the contracts of 6 assistant coaches. Under the scenario, Michigan would have to pay out as much as $10.775 million to clean house and start anew. Harbaugh would be owed around $6.4 million for the remainder of a deal that is set to end 3 days after the final game of the 2021 season is played. Okay. Crap. I didn't realize that picture was up the entire time I was reading the article, but that's the article. So it's a Friday, guys. I'm a little disoriented here. One other thing I'm going to address before I throw the link in the chat is someone in my circle said that he is not, Harbaugh hasn't been committed to football, or he hasn't been committed to coaching. This was a trying year for everybody. I'm sure morale took a hit as this whole thing went on. This 2018, I'm sorry, disoriented today. The 2020 season. But I don't agree that throughout his tenure in Ann Arbor, he hasn't been committed to football. He may not have executed things the right way. His planning, his recruiting, his creating his staff might have been a little bit janky at times, and there may have been miscalculations. But I wouldn't agree that during his time in Ann Arbor, he hasn't been committed to football. So that's not true. I told a quick story, which I shared with that same group this week. Some of you guys wouldn't guess it to look at me, but I was once a dance instructor. I was pretty heavy into salsa. Again, you wouldn't look at me and think that, but I actually learned how to dance in Michigan. And I was teaching at a studio out in the Albany, New York area, which is where I lived before I moved to DC. And I'll just say that I didn't agree strategically with all the moves that the owner of that studio was making in terms of running the studio and growing salsa in that area. But he was in charge, and he made the decisions that he made. And I was a lieutenant, so it wasn't my operation. But I'm just saying that to say that people can love something and they can be dedicated to something, but they might make bad moves, and they might make bonehead moves because they think they're doing the right thing. I'm going to throw the link in the chat now. We're at 39 minutes. Alex, if you're out there and you want to come up and give your 2 cents, you're welcome to do so. But people, and I see it on my current job now, the people in management, they know who they want to move up, and they feel like they're doing the right things by the organization, and they make their decisions, and they're empowered to make those decisions, and they think they're doing the right thing. And then there are the rest of us who are around looking on. Some people are passed over for promotions, and you're looking at the people in management, and you're saying, why did you do that? Why did you make that decision? This person was more qualified than that person. Why did you promote that person? Why did you keep that person? Why did you split that organization into two? What's going on?
What say you? How you doing?
All right. You?
Glad you're safe. That's the most important thing.
Same to you.
Glad you're safe. Hey, I'm looking at the river right now. It's a beautiful view.
Florida.
Yeah.
South. The South. I don't want to give away too many specifics, but the South.
Yeah, the South. It's fine. So I think a couple things are going on. I've sat back. We've had some discussions about it in private, and I've been holding this for a while because I was waiting for you to pop this so we can discuss it. I believe that all the tea leaves are reading that he's done in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
He's done. And I believe I said this before, and I know I've been back and forth about it. They're trying to give him a gracious exit as possible. They're allowing him to. So let me back up. So what's going on is that he's making $8 million this year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With everything that's going on with the pandemic, primarily for most coaches, it's just been a wash year for everybody. It's just been a wash. But in regards to him, I believe what's going on is that Ward Manuel has decided that Jim is not the coach to move them in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
He does not want to pay an $8 million buyout. So what he did is that he offered him a contract that's going to be a less buyout next year.
Okay.
And in the meantime, probably behind the scenes, he's going to be looking for the next coach for Michigan. So that's the reason why this thing has been dragging on the way it's dragging on. That's, getting rid of Don Brown wouldn't have mattered one way or another. I believe it's just to save face. But Michigan's boosters president does not want to spend $8 million during a pandemic that they don't necessarily have to spend if they can avoid. They're going to try to avoid paying that money out if they can. That's what's going on. So, if he comes back, fine. Last year was a pandemic year. It happened at Penn State. It happened to multiple programs. Some programs thrived, some programs didn't. It's a wash. Next year, we're going to see what you're going to do. I believe they're going to put the same product on the field. And then at that moment in time, everything is going to be justified to move on from him. But I believe that they are trying to give him the opportunity to leave as graciously as possible. And I've said this in the past, and I've been back and forth about it. I think this is more about the AD than it is Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
And I've been on message boards back and forth, and it looks like he's not getting a lot of interest from NFL teams. So I believe he probably will be back, and I believe that next year will be his last year in Ann Arbor. And at that point, for me, if I was the AD,
Mm-hmm.
if I can get Matt Campbell, I go get Matt Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And I eat the $8 million.
Okay.
But because you don't know who's going to be available next year. Right? Okay. So the longer you wait, I saw a comment, down below that staffs are being hired right now, and slots are filling up. If you can get Matt Campbell this year, it's not a guarantee you're going to be able to get him next year. It's not a guarantee. And like, say for instance, you might have to pay his, you want Jim Harbaugh to leave so you don't have to pay the buyout. What you don't want to do is have to pay the buyout to Harbaugh and then have to pay the buyout for Matt Campbell. That's just a lot of money during a pandemic that the university is probably not willing to take on. They're not willing to take that money on.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that is what's going on right now. It is unfortunate. A lot of assistants contracts are up this year. Like, their contracts are up in 3 days, and they haven't been renewed. They haven't even really made an official announcement on Don Brown leaving yet.
Well, he got hired at Arizona?
Arizona, yeah. Yeah. And I also saw a message board where the running backs coach can take the same position at Arizona, but has not yet. So I believe they're waiting to see what happens, if Jim can convince a team to take him on. But, with the past couple of years, he's not, typically college coaches outside of Cliff Kingsbury, he's the exception to the rule because he lost I think it was at Texas Tech. He didn't win a lot of games at Texas Tech, but he was very innovative as an offensive mind. But outside of Cliff Kingsbury, college coaches who get an NFL look are hot, meaning that they have won consistently at least in the last 3 to 5 years. Jim Harbaugh has not done that. He is on the slide. He's not on the uptick.
Well, if I can interject here, it is surprising because clearly he went to the Chargers to interview. Clearly, that's what that was.
Yes, absolutely.
It's surprising, and it's telling that he wouldn't have an announcement immediately after coming back. That means that they didn't want him, right?
That means that they are probably looking at other candidates. Yes.
Okay.
That's a possibility. Yes.
Or they're looking at other candidates. Okay.
Yeah. And we don't know what LA's we don't know what LA's interview process is. So I think that's something, but I think his stock is just not high right now. That's all this boils down to.
Yeah.
He had the worst season, I believe, in Michigan history. You read that entire article and you missed one key fact. They didn't win a home game this year.
Well, right.
Like that, they had statistically the worst season in Michigan history. So his stock is very low. I mean, obviously you could buy low and sell high, but his stock's very low and there's not a lot of interest in him right now. He's going to have to, if he would have left after the 16, heck, if he would have left after the 18 season, absolutely. If he would have left after last year. But the way this season has gone, nobody's really interested in him right now. They'll take it because of his previous success in the NFL, but the NFL is a win now league. And although he might have been at the forefront of a lot of changes to offenses in the NFL, that was 6 years ago. The NFL is completely different now.
Well, also he didn't end well in San Francisco.
He did not.
He left
very bad. Everywhere he's went, it has ended badly. So I think that's what's going on right now. I think he'll be back. And from what I've seen being reported here and there is that you're going from $8 to $4 million a year, and the buyout is somewhere like $2 to $3 million. So if you pay him $8, fine, you can eat the $8, but you're saving yourself about $6 million on a buyout. If you do the math, like $5 to $6 million on a buyout, versus having to continue to pay him. So if he does well, he can make up to a certain amount of money. If he doesn't do well, he's out of there, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be out of there. So, I think Ward Manuel's just playing the long game. I really think that's what this is. He's just playing the long game. He's very patient. I believe that he understands the football program is not going to win next year. It's not going to win the year after that. It's not going to win the year after that. You're probably, maybe 3 or 4 seasons away from consistently getting that thing back on track. It's gone so far off the rails that's probably where the program is. I think he understands that. He's not. I applaud him for not having such a knee-jerk reaction to having a vision, seeing the situation for what it is, laying out a plan, which I believe that he has done, which is why he's not gotten emotional about Jim Harbaugh and the situation. He hasn't gotten emotional about it. A lot of fans are emotional, but he's not emotional. I believe he's taken a very methodical approach to ending Jim Harbaugh's tenure, because it's coming to an end, whether it be he gets a job this year or he gets fired next year, because we all know the product that they put out on the field this year with them losing all the guys that they've lost. And if he comes back, I'm certain that a lot of kids are going to jump in the transfer portal, because it's also been reported that he hasn't talked to anybody since Christmas.
Yeah, that's in the Steve Dace podcast, but I'm sure it's in other sources as well.
Yeah, I read it in a news article. But yeah, I mean, they actually had a guy who graduated in December, and he was on a podcast, and he said that they haven't talked to him since 2 weeks after the last game they played. Like, no players have basically heard from him.
Yeah. Well, the other thing Jim could do is just, step down and just relax for a little while, and I would say take a vacation. Well, some people are traveling and taking vacations. But you could just step back and just, not do anything for a year, take a leave of absence, and go find another job.
I mean, you would think that, you know,
he has to stay.
Yeah, I mean, you could go the Matt Brown route. Well, you know, Matt Brown took a couple of years off, and you know, he did some TV, and then he, you know, had a discussion with the wife and decided to go back to North Carolina. And, you know, he's there. He's getting that program back on track. You know, pretty fast. I mean, I think North Carolina was in a better position talent-wise, and you know, you kind of know who you're getting with North Carolina, but you know, I really think this is going to be, whether it be 2021 or 2022, this is a clean house situation. We're just, Abdul, stop it. The code does not build character. He's funny.
Look at this, Abdul Anwar. I enjoy your even keeled personality. But the Abdul Gangsters of the world make the world go round. So
yeah, this is true.
We need them.
But,
we need them.
There's definitely a contrast there. But yeah, I think that's what this is. I think it's a very slow burn. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter as to when. I think Warren Manuel is completely okay with saying, we know we're not going to be good next year. It doesn't matter if Bill Belichick comes in, we're not going to be good next year because we don't have the talent, and we don't have the talent, we don't have the scheme, we don't have the coaching. You know, just next year is just not going to be a good year. So him recognizing that the situation is what it is, how are you going to deal with it? This is how he's chosen to deal with it. And I, again, applaud his approach because I feel like he's going about it the right way. You know, it might be a situation where after the last game, next day he's gone, you know, and then they start their coaching search from that point. Or, you know, behind back channels, you can take a look and see who's interested all of next year, because, I mean, everybody pretty much knows that there are teams in the Big Ten East that are on the come up. The Big Ten West is doing very well. So, you know, Michigan's the fourth or fifth best team in their division, not the conference, in the division. So, you know, you got Ohio State, Maryland. I believe Rutgers is better than them. Penn State, I believe, is going to be back. So, you know, they're looking at 4 or 5 in their own division. So, it's just a matter of time. I think that's what it is. So that's my take on it.
Okay, Malachi, if you're still out there, could you talk about the this guy you're talking about? I'm not familiar with who you're talking about. Yeah, this is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this since I was a student, and I can't remember seeing anything like this in any college football program since I've been following it.
Well, I mean, it's a very unique circumstance. And like I said, I said this before. I just feel like they're trying to allow him to exit gracefully. So, oh, that happens all the time, Malachi. That happens all the time. That happens more than what you think, especially in the NFL. But anyway, I'm gonna jump off here. I got a meeting to go to. I know you got some things you have to do as well.
Yep.
So you know, we will speak soon. Please let your friend know. And oh no, I'll say it. Abdul the Cold does not produce character. That's a joke, kind of a private joke, but
I don't know. I was getting out there and shoveling the snow, man. It builds discipline. It builds resolve.
It does not. You take a walk in that 21-degree weather if you want to. I will pass on that.
Okay.
But hey, you have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Back down. So I'll speak with you soon, I'm sure.
All right, sounds good. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
All right, guys, we're coming up on an hour. That's pretty much all I had. I'm going to read through some of your comments, and then I'll shut it down. All right. Alvin Powell says, I understand, and Jim is okay, I understand, and Jim is going to Arizona. T.O. Malachi says, Bob Stoops for defensive coordinator. That's what you want. Okay. Head coach. That was at McKinney, Malachi. I'd be down. He asked to be at OSU and produce several QBs. Yakov says U of M is very image conscious. People in Michigan and around the country are hurting financially. Yep. They don't want to pay Jim millions not to coach and then buy out someone to not coach at the previous school. You know, during the Great Recession, right when Obama went into office, the federal employees, which I am one, Obama froze our cost of living increase, which federal employees normally get because the rest of the country was hurting. So I guess it would look bad if, they paid Jim a ton of money while everyone else is struggling, on top of the fact that many fans are like, why is he getting all that money? He's not producing. So Malachi says Bob Stoops as a defensive back coach was wild. Pretty sure Adrian Peterson was a running back for Bob as well. I believe he was. They had a good team. They lost, I think they won it one year, then they lost to Pete Carroll's USC Trojan Empire. It is interesting that a guy who is not anywhere near the top of the coaching ranks generates so much interest. Well, he did have that Super Bowl year in San Francisco, though. Cap. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. Our new defensive coordinator, I think that was the gentleman I asked who Malachi was talking about. Have Faith says, had Jimmy recruited Ohio, he might have won a few more games. Plucking talent out of Ohio has been Michigan's secret strategy since the days of Bo. All successful Go Blue coaches knew that. Yep, I recorded a video on that over the summertime because someone, one of my subscribers, pulled my code about it and says, hey, that's significant. And even Brady Hoke, Rich Rod and Brady both were able to pull. They might have been the Toledo kids, but they were able to pull Ohio kids for their programs. And even Jim's first 2 years, he had quite a few of those Brady Hoke Ohio recruits on his roster, which were 2 strong years for Jim, even though he didn't beat Ohio State and get us into the Big Ten championship game. So that 2016 game was a huge missed opportunity. But there haven't been any Ohio kids of note in the programs after the 2016 season. We aren't worse than Maryland or Rutgers. Well, Alex says that Tua's brother, and we were going to see Tua's brother firsthand before the game got canceled. So Maryland might be on the rise. Abdul Gaines says it's like U of M is trying to serve 2 masters in Power 5 football. Their number one objective should be to win at all costs. All right, Abdul Gaines, don't forget what happened to SMU. Abdul Gaines, speaking of which, you're a member of the Ohio State fan base now, but this picture of your favorite Michigan defensive player will always have a place in this broadcast. So, Abdul Gaines' favorite Michigan recruit of all time is Rashawn Gary. So, let's see. Randy says, give me some clay, and the best I can make is an ashtray. But that same clay in the hands of an artist can sculpt beautiful pieces. Coaching is the same way. Stop blaming the kid's talent. Hey, I agree. I think I don't know if I was blaming the talent. But I do believe that coaching at any level, but especially at this level, is about player development. And Mark D'Antonio, for a number of years, was able to do a lot with lesser talent. And according to Alex, even Urban Meyer and now Ryan Day, they get a lot of the 4 and the 5 stars, but they're able to even take the 3 stars and turn them into players. Alvin says Jim's son. Treppa Coles. What's going on, Treppa Coles? Interesting point heard on a podcast was that Jim Harbaugh is competitive and wants to win right now, but he's not acting like someone who is doing everything he can to get Michigan football ready to win. Yep, a lot of head scratchers about Jim's tenure. Hopefully, John U. Bacon will write another book about this, capturing everything that happened behind the scenes, but there are a lot of head scratchers surrounding Jim's tenure. Let me go back to this. Yakov says Pfizer should hire you as the head of all new medications. Actually, one of the things my graduate advisor taught me at Michigan was that your eyes should always be looking at new positions. And I'll just say that I'm following that advice right now. And you should always let people know that you're looking when you're looking. So I'm using both of those pieces of good advice I got from my alma mater. And I did want to work for Pfizer, by the way, when I was a student at Michigan, but they closed. I couldn't get in there straight out of graduate school. And then they closed that Pfizer branch in Ann Arbor. John Stoop says Harbaugh is from Ohio. Don't forget his dad coached at Crestline, Ohio. Yeah, I actually queued up this picture of the Harbaugh family here. This is part of the mystique of Jim coming back. This would have worked out so well had he been able to get the program up to where it was supposed to be. But we all know how things turned out. That's the iconic picture of the Harbaugh family in the big house. I'll do a few more, then I'll shut down because I have some other things to do. Let's see. John says, so Jimmy should be aware of Ohio and its football history. How could he not? Let's see. Jimmy looks defeated. Yep, and I think I'll stop there. I've mentioned several times that, he is 57 now. But when he first started, he looked like this. That was him on the that day he got hired in December of 2014. I was in Starbucks in Schenectady, New York, watching the press conference on my laptop. And that's what he looked like back in 2014. And Jimmy looks like this now. Give me a second. And Jimmy looks like this now. Tired. Look at his eyes. Tired. Weathered. You can see the wrinkles right there going down from his nose to the sides of his mouth. But that's where things are. You haven't beaten Ohio State. You haven't gotten into the Big Ten championship game. You've only won one bowl game with Brady Hoke's players, and you're kind of going 50-50 against Michigan State every year. And this COVID-shortened historic season was brutal. Kids are entering the transfer portal. You had a mutiny with your day one starting quarterback. The fans are calling for your head. You have a contract that the athletic director has given you, which you don't think you necessarily want. Defensive coordinator just got fired. So that's what Jim looks like now. It's like it's night and day. It's night and day. Who would have thought we'd be in this position 5 years ago when he got hired, or 6 years ago when he got hired? But he did have critics. When he came home to Ann Arbor, he did have critics, and people were talking about how he wears out his welcome. And I think one of the narratives was that he wore out his welcome with Jed York and Trent Baalke out there in San Francisco. I'm going to read one more comment, and then I'm going to shut it down. This comment from All Hail Michigan says, it's a stressful job. As fans, we get worked up about it. We're looking at you, Abdul Gaines. We get worked up, but just imagine the coach. Yep, it's kind of like a president of the United States. Funny analogy for right now. They come in looking good, and at the end, they look grim. Yeah, we definitely, in my lifetime, you definitely saw that with Barack Obama. He was definitely great. His hair was black when he went into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Is it 1600 or 1400? But he was his hair was black when he started. He was full gray when he left. You can look at Bill Clinton. When Bill Clinton started, he was more youthful, and then when he left the White House, he was weathered and aged. The same goes for George W. Bush. When George W. Bush started, he was older, but he looked younger. And then when his tenure ended, he looked older and weathered. And for college football coaches, it's the same way. You're recruiting, you're trying to win, and if you're not winning, the fans like Abdul Gaines, they're coming for you. They're coming. So it's a tough job, and you have to earn every bit of your $7 million salary or however much you're getting. So, well, we will continue to be on a Harbaugh watch here. I mean, I think we know which way it's going to land, but, well, I don't know which way it's going to land, but we will continue to be on a Harbaugh watch here. I've never seen anything like this, and it will be interesting to see what happens. So, everyone, I'm going to sign off here. Let's see. Have Faith says Buckeye Nation will miss him. Yes, I'm sure you guys will. And Jimmy says, missed again. Fans were sold a bill of goods by sports media, eager to prop up a guy who had a ton of negatives in his past. Okay. So, everyone, I'm going to stop this here and get back to some of the other things that I need to do. So, the Harbaugh Watch will continue here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. He's back. What's up?
That meeting went really, really fast. Faster than I anticipated.
Those are the best meetings.
Yeah, those are yeah. So I wanted to I was in the comments and I was looking over a couple different things. I was still in the comment on some stuff.
All right.
I have heard the Jim to Arizona thing. I have heard that. I don't know how much validity I would put on it, but I have heard it. And in regards to the win at all cost, I definitely believe that. Part of the reason why I said what I did say is that I believe there's a comment in there that said Michigan is very image conscious, which I do agree with. You have to understand, you have to look at Michigan for what it is. Although a lot of us are fans / fanatics, alums, Michigan is a business, and their number one business is not winning football games. Obviously, if they can do that, if they can win football games and not sacrifice them being the institution that they strive to be, then they are 100% okay with doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I believe I don't think that's a bad place to be in. I just think that's the place that you're in. I think a lot of people misunderstand that Ohio State takes a very different approach. Texas, which I'm going to bring up quite frequently since Texas and Michigan seem to be almost tied in the circumstances with their Texas now their previous head coach, Michigan now their head coach. Texas wants to win. They want to win at all costs. They have nothing but oil money, nothing but boosters who are billionaires. They don't care about firing Tom Herman. And Tom Herman, outside of, the Big 12 had a really funky, weird year. They did go, I think, 5-0 in bowl games. But with Tom Herman and Texas having the talent they have down there, it wasn't enough to save his job. I think he had a decent year at Texas. So, and it wasn't enough because they're not winning. Sorry about that. Michigan's very different. The expectations, from the AD, from the president in regards to the athletic football program, it's just very different. They're they're going to be very strategic about what they do, and I think that's really important to understand throughout this process, because I think everybody is up in arms saying, "Oh, he should do this, he should do that." Well, you have to look at it from Warren Manuel's standpoint, the university standpoint, and Michigan. Throughout this, I've realized something. Michigan is only going to win a certain way. They're not going to win the way Ohio State wins. They're not going to win the way Alabama wins. They're not going to win the way that Clemson and Texas and Oklahoma and all those other schools. Their approach is going to be very different. It's going to be very different. And I saw something else that I thought was interesting. You made a comment about getting Ohio kids.
Someone else did.
Yes, someone else made a comment about getting Ohio kids, and I'm going to make a statement. Might not be very. Some of you might not like it. That doesn't matter. If you're talking about beating Ohio State, that doesn't matter, because Ohio State recruits the nation. They don't just recruit Ohio kids. So, I mean, obviously, you're as a program, you're going to have to open that up. And you can say, "Oh, well, Michigan gets kids from here and here." Those are primarily legacy kids. Like, those kids want to go to Michigan, not for football. It's always for something else. Typically education, because, from an educational standpoint, it's one of the best in the country, hands down. But if we're talking about flat out football stud recruits, Michigan's losing them.
Okay. Yeah, I think the comment was classically they had gotten a good number of them.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think so. I believe that, but I also think that Ohio State's recruiting has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Where, when I was in school and Jim Trussell was a coach, we would just get the best players in Ohio, and that was good enough to compete for a national championship every 3-4 years. Every 3-4 years we would be good enough, develop the talent, be good enough. We might get one player from down south, or one player from Georgia, maybe a player from Florida, something like that. But, majority of our players came from Cleveland, Columbus, Ironton, things like that, Massillon. All around Ohio, we would just lock Ohio kids up, and that was good enough. Well, it's changed. You can't just get Ohio kids and expect to beat an Ohio State, a Clemson, even Oklahoma, because those programs recruit nationally. So yes, you might be able to pluck some kids from Ohio. The only reason you're able to pluck kids from Ohio is because Ohio State is getting kids better than them.
Okay, there you have it, folks. Someone took exception to your comment about Michigan being a business. I think he's saying, "Are you saying Ohio State University isn't a business as well?"
Oh, it's definitely a business, but the businesses are ran very differently. I would say the mission statements of the business are very different. How they conduct their business is very different. The goal of what they strive to be is very different. It's very different. Two different businesses run two different ways. Two different outcomes. They're trying to do two different things. So I just wanted to get that in before you hop off.
Okay. All right. Well, Alex, thanks for coming back up.
Of course.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Yeah, everyone. Well, so yeah, So we're gonna stop there. I'm gonna end with a little humor here. Give me 1 second. So the once again for the college football playoff. Oh, by the way, that game is on Monday. The college once again. We as Michigan fans are in the audience watching. As the big fight's going on. This, for those of you who were born in the 70s and the 80s, you remember this game. This is Punch Out, the original Punch Out, and I like this picture because it typifies the Michigan football team around postseason play. Ohio State and Clemson and Alabama and other teams, they're in the ring, and we're kind of out there watching like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. and Mario and Luigi. So this is us right now. And last week, Ohio State won over Clemson. They won handily. Ohio State fans are really, really happy about that. Alabama knocked off Notre Dame. So Monday's championship game is going to be a rematch of the 2014 semifinal between Alabama and Ohio State. So keep your eyes on that. It should be interesting to see because Ohio State looks good. And St. Nick probably remembers that loss wholeheartedly. Is Mario Don Brown? I don't know, man. Anyway, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on the playback, definitely please subscribe and like the playback. That's free. If you want to leave something in the tip jar, that information is below this video. Everyone be safe out there in this early 2021 and go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.